Welcome, everybody, to this first edition of Extra Holes 2024 with your co host, Joe Rocha and Alex Kollar. Alex, welcome back.
Happy New Year to everybody. Thanks. It's great to be back. It's been a little bit of a break, but yeah, we're back and it's a fresh year. And I know that we're both excited about the new year and what's going to be in store for us and how excited we are to continue to help people on their golfing journey of getting better.
Absolutely. So it's like we've said, been a little while, and some developments have occurred in the game. How about we get right into the first one, and that's what we're calling, or they're calling, the golf rollback. So, from what I understand, the governing bodies, USGA and the R&A, have decided to limit the distance of the golf ball by 5%. There's no precedence really in any other sport. What do you think of this rollback, Alex? And especially, like I've mentioned before, Alex, being a longer hitter, I'm extra interested in your perspective.
Well, it didn't matter what period of golf. Everyone was using the same technology for that time period, the 60s, 70s, and there were longer hitters and shorter hitters, and there'll always be longer hitters and shorter hitters no matter what technology they're using. It's like in tennis, and we talk privately, about tennis, they, rackets have changed, but everyone's using the same equipment, right? The same technology. I'm sure the serves are faster now than they used to be, but it's still a level playing field. In golf, it's still very, my only gripe is get rid of the long putter. I hate the long putter, but
that's right. Yeah.
But everyone gets to use the same drivers and technologies and balls. I don't necessarily think there doesn't need to be a rollback. Is it making some golf courses obsolete? I think you got to go to, course records. If course records are being shattered by 5 strokes, you'd say, well, that's not normal. Like they're more of a pitch and putt now, and they're just hitting little wedges to the green. If the U.S. Open scoring record is just getting demolished, I do think it's a problem. So we do have to look at the scores in relationship to, obviously somebody is entitled to beat a record by a shot or so, but, you shouldn't have 4 or 5 guys shoot 63 at an Open, right? Ooh. Like 63 at an Open, know. Like, wow, that's amazing. So I don't know if rolling it back 5% is going to change anything, to be honest with you. What's unique about golf, and I guess it's unique in tennis too, I guess, when you play outside, you may have an earlier match and it's sunny. I don't know. Do they play in the rain, Joe, when it rains?
No, no, they don't. Okay. They don't, especially on the hard court.
So scratch that comment.
That's okay.
But golf is weird because, you could tee off in the morning and have the morning draw, as they say. Beautiful. And then the skies kind of open up in the afternoon, and those poor guys that teed off at 2:30 or 2 o'clock have to play in rain the entire round. Now, is that the same conditions? No, but they just say, hey, that's tough luck.
Yeah.
Your ball's carry less all day. It's gonna probably hit and not roll, and you're gonna be uncomfortable all day long. And that's the one thing about golf where they play the same course. They don't play the same conditions, and they just play it as it lies.
Well, Liv is trying to address that with a shotgun start, but that's another topic.
The shotgun start, that's right.
Okay, so we were talking earlier, and I was telling you about Nick Faldo. So I've I've always been a Nick Faldo fan, and I came across an interview recently that he did that was great, and of course you watch it, and then other things about Nick Faldo start popping up. So I was just surfing around, and one thing that Nick Faldo talked about was when he won the Masters. Now we're going back to the late '80s. He won back-to-back Masters, I think in '89, '90.
Hmm.
So he was talking about, and then of course '96 with against Greg Norman. But say '89, '90. So he goes into a playoff with Ray Floyd. This was '90, so he this was his this was the his he defended in
Yeah,
'90.
80 or Scott Hoke.
Right. Okay. So one thing he said was, "I am not going into that playoff." He said, "I am not giving Ray Floyd my jacket." That was his motivation because he was defending the jacket. But my point is, the playoff ended on number 11. Now, number 11 at Augusta
Yeah.
is a difficult hole. It's got the water on the left. Um, but Nick Faldo hit 3-iron into that green. And the guys now they've lengthened the hole. Prior to them lengthening the hole, it was 8-iron to wedge, right? Into that hole, as I
Yeah.
remember. I think now after lengthening the hole, I think I remember last year, maybe some of the guys had 5s and 6-irons, just depending on wind conditions and, like you said, course conditions. It's wet or windy. But that's sort of the rationale with the governing bodies. We can't keep going back to sort of preserve the integrity of these golf holes. So that's their rationale. I'd like to see everything just keep going forward. Um, you know, I'd like to see everyone playing the same ball, which I think is what they're recommending. So now it's going to be a 5% loss for everyone. So I guess just everyone backs up. But that's a little bit against, what we like. We're trying to push the envelope in things within reason, in a good way, strive forward, but we're rolling it back. So it remains to be seen. Um, I can just hear most of our students, Alex, right? Like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to hit it further, and now they're going to roll it back on me. So, but hey, even if you're playing in a club championship or you're member guest or you're playing against your buddy, everybody has the same. I hate to say it this way, but everybody has the same disadvantage.
Well,
Event,
not letting
right?
you stock up right now, Joe.
Stock up on
Go
these
to your
balls.
local golf shop and just buy
Yeah,
all the balls you can right now, and
I
you know
know.
you're going to have 5% advantage.
I might be able to hit it out with you. No, I might need 10 or 12% to hit it out with you.
No.
Um, but I don't think it takes effect till 27. And from what I understand, the manufacturers have anticipated this, so they have balls already in the works, sort of ready to go. But yeah, I mean, they're going to have to be distinguishable, right? How are you going to distinguish between a ball
Right.
from right prior? I don't know how they're going to do that. It's going to have some
They,
kind of stamp on it, at least in the
all of
first
a
few
sudden, you're
years.
going to everyone's going to be marking their ball with a black Sharpie in that area. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what are you covering up?
seriously.
Um, well, I would just say the thing that amazes me is, and it goes. Listen, obviously, if everything's going further, right? Some of these guys in their stock yardages. Um, I mean, Bryson's kind of a bad example, maybe because he's just so long. But when he gives his stock yardages, I just chuckle. It's like, you know, 9 iron,
Incredible.
185, you know, eight. I'm like, you
I
hit your
know.
8 iron, 200 yards. Like, how's that possible?
208 iron. I was coaching the high school team, and it's one of the top high schools, and granted, but fairly new golfer, baseball player. I might have told the story before, but I guess worth repeating. We had TrackMan at practice, so I said,
Okay.
guys, let me see you hit. I want to see you hit a 7 iron and a driver. We'll get some numbers. We'll get some numbers with an iron. We'll get some numbers with a driver, and just see what it is. And so this player hits his 7 iron, and I look at the day. I look at the TrackMan numbers, and it's 195 carry. And I said,
Wow.
what? Wait a minute. What iron did you bring over? I'm thinking he brought his. I'm thinking he didn't hear me right. He brought his 5. He looks at it, 7 iron, and I said, "How far do you hit your 7 iron?" And he said, "About 185." I said, "Well, that one just went 195." He's like, "Oh, really?" Like, so you have the Tiger effect where athletes. He's from the world of baseball, pitcher. So, so you have athletes playing golf now, and it's super cool. He didn't really know it was a perfect sort of response he had, because he didn't really have any like preconceived idea of how far it should go. I think back in the day, speaking for myself and a lot of other people, it's like we were almost limited. We grew up with Curtis Strange and like that era, Nick Faldo. I mean, even if you look at Hogan's yardages, a 7 iron was sort of like the standard was 150, 7 iron. So we
I'm
sort
not
of
even sure far.
we sort of played to that number. Like we weren't trying to really push it. Um, you play with some friends, hockey players or something might, oh my God, I just hit that wedge 150, but you really didn't think too much of it as far as an advantage. But now with strokes gained and TrackMan and super cool, we know that, the further you hit it, the bigger advantage you have. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, equipment will factor in. I'm just thinking, driver, loft. It'll be interesting to see how those new balls spin, launch angles. Um, so we'll just have to see where how it all plays out.
What uh yeah, I don't have much to follow up there. You know what? We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah,
Uh, I'm still not sure we should do it, but
right.
um, it's hard to believe that they could, make a ball, and it's like it goes it goes so much further than it used to. But yeah,
Just the
technology is
technology, right? I mean, some of
special,
those
right?
balls, when you think about it, I'm older, a little bit older than you, but we used to play those Titleist Balata balls, and if you mishit it, man, you would dent the ball. I mean, the ball, you have to take the ball out of play. Now, I mean, that doesn't happen. I mean, just as a sort of a small example about, where we've come with the technology. And then we were looking at some swings, our mentor, Carl Welty, who we often talk about. We were going back to some of his old posts. He had of course, the speed machine that we talked about in one episode. So he had a number of the tour pros swing on that speed machine. Greg Norman, all the greats of our generation, Norman, Couples, Daly, and going back to those videos, they were swinging steel shafts. Some of them persimmon-headed drivers. I was telling you earlier about Nick Faldo. I was watching one of his highlights at the British Open, and the camera was at a little bit of a distance. You could barely make out the head of the driver. It was so small. So anyway, it's interesting, and like we said, we'll just have to kind of buckle up and see where it all sort of turns out. Okay, should we go on to the next topic?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, Jon Rahm has left the PGA Tour, and the PGA Tour now. And I want to hear your opinion, but if I'm Jay Monahan, just going back to Phil Mickelson now, say what you want about Phil, but my stance as a commissioner, it's easy for me to say, right? I have nothing on the line by saying this, but I would have said, I am not going to tell Phil Mickelson that he cannot play the PGA Tour. Now, if you want to fire me, fire me. But, in order for me to be able to look at myself in the mirror, I'm not going to be the one to tell Phil Mickelson he can't play the PGA Tour. And I would say the same thing with Jon Rahm. Um, Even in light of the first tournament now, the Tournament of Champions is coming up in Hawaii for the PGA Tour. Rahm is a multiple winner. He's defending actually that event. And the PGA Tour once again is saying, and I get it, he's signed on with a quote competing tour, but once again the tour is saying you can't play. What do you think? Does that bother you?
Um,
Or is it good riddance?
you know what? No. So listen, uh, they are independent
What if you're the
contractors.
sponsor?
They are independent contractors. Last time I checked, like there's no pay unless you win a. You know, obviously sponsors are paying them, but there's no prize money unless you sign up for a tournament and do well, make the cut, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like there's these guaranteed contracts. Well, again, prior to live golf,
Yeah.
but if any player wanted to play the Asian tour, let's say there was an event in Asia, right? They just
Yeah.
I want to go play a tournament. You remember Tiger used to go play some of these tournaments, and he got very big appearance fees to show up.
Right. Yeah.
I want to say the appearance fees were in the $5 to $10 million range. Correct me when I'm wrong. $5 to $10 million
Could have
to
been.
come play. I really think it was more than just $1 million. I think some of the appearance fees were huge. So he's getting an appearance fee for $5 million to show up at this tournament. And of course, if he wins, he still gets the prize money. They don't keep the prize money from him.
Right.
And the PGA Tour doesn't say, well, no, you can't go play that Asian Tour event. Of course you can.
Yeah.
If you wanna miss whatever tournament is on the tour this week, I think there's always like a minimum number of tournaments you need to play to keep your status. Is that correct?
Yeah. I think it's 15, something like that.
So, which to me that doesn't make sense either. Like say you're a player and you win the first tournament of the year,
Mm-hmm.
or the first tournament you play in, whatever. Let's say you win that. Well, that gets you your card for the next year, right? You've locked it up.
Mm-hmm.
Going to the Masters, So if you decide not to play in any other tournaments, you're just like, hey, I'm good. I'm going to go on a very long vacation, and
Right.
I don't want to play any more golf on the PGA Tour this year. I'm going to start again next year because I've got next year all already in my back pocket.
Yeah.
So the tour can say you didn't play enough tournaments and you can't. I don't understand that, Joe. In that
I
scenario,
know.
can they tell you you've lost the privilege to play the next year, even though you've earned the right by winning a tournament?
Okay. I'm sort of educated guessing now off the top of my head, and I'm just saying, if we're creating the PGA Tour, say you and I are creating the PGA Tour, it was like Jack and Arnie back in the day. They split from the PGA of America, created the PGA Tour. you might come up with some bylaws, if that's the right terminology, that say um, that stipulate a minimum, only because I'm just thinking sponsor money. So when the PGA Tour goes to Exxon or whatever, AT&T, whatever corporation is out there, Hyundai, they can sort of guarantee a certain um, level of play or player when they go to sit down with those sponsors to sort of sell the event. Does that make sense? I
Well, I
mean,
know I came up with a scenario that wouldn't be real. Nobody's going to win a tournament and then take the whole year off.
right, but
But
like you said, they could play 6 events a year.
what
If
if they just want to play 6 events? They've
right,
already got the tour card. They've already won an event. Tiger
I
Tiger
know.
won. He won. Very early in the season. If he wanted to take the whole year off, could he have done it and kept his card? I don't see why he shouldn't be able to keep his card.
I'm thinking about. I don't know why it just popped into my mind. Just this is a this is a stretch. Back caddying days. Caddy. You can show up when you want, but you kind of can't just show up when you want either. You, you're not going to really get out as much as if you show up more.
Of
Um,
course, again,
so
take
I
the year
guess
off.
it's a great. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. I agree with you.
My point is,
Yeah, I hear you.
an independent contractor.
Can
If
do what
you
they
have
want.
gone through, if you have gone through Q school and you earn the right to be on tour,
Yeah,
you should be able to play the tournaments you want,
I know.
skip the weeks you want. If you want to play on the Asian tour because someone wants to pay you money as an appearance fee, again, Tiger's taken appearance money his entire career to play in
I know.
these or outside of the U.S.
The other
There's
thing, yeah,
difference. There's no difference. Live is basically giving Jon Rahm a hefty appearance fee to go play in those tournaments. Okay. And I don't think he should be barred from the PGA Tour.
I
If he
know.
has status tour, he should be able to play in any tournaments he wants. What they're doing by playing in these special events and getting big money to do so is they're taking an appearance fee that is for all the events, and it's a number that we know. Tiger never was publishing his appearance fees every week. He
Hmm.
didn't put paper, hey, I'm getting 10 million to go play in Thailand. He
Yeah,
just, is private.
yeah,
Now they're showing us, well, they paid Rahm, whatever it was, 500 million. Well, it's 500 million divided by how many tournaments, divided by how many years. Okay. His appearance fees probably, 5 million a tour stop on the live tour. If you
right.
do the math, you divide it out. So
Yeah,
he's probably making the same per event appearance fee as Tiger was getting. But it was okay for Tiger to do it, but Jon Rahm can't do it. Well, that's not right. I think
I
all
know.
those guys tour status, if they wanna go play other events around the world, they should be entitled to do that. So that's my
I
take,
know.
Joe.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think about it.
I mean, just one other sort of stretch of a theory is potentially. I mean, it seems like the tour is just um, appearance fees. Just it's just such a they just don't want appearance fees to enter into the equation with PGA Tour events. They're just so averse to appearance fees. Maybe they're thinking if 15 events were not stipulated, maybe it would set up a scenario where these corporations that sponsor events and players would be more susceptible to being sort of, um, you know, um, bought by a certain tournament, and some kind of appearance fee could be arranged. I don't know. I don't know why they're so averse. I mean, they did. What did they pay the players? $50,000, or was it five? No, $500,000 a year for each tour player this year to cover some expenses. I mean, you could make a case even that the caddies um could be taken care of by the PGA Tour. I mean, the players are paying the caddies. There could be a stipulated amount of money, set aside for caddies. So it looks like, my final point, I guess, on the subject is, it looks like Live and the PGA Tour are supposed to come together at some point, which they need to do. Because you had Wells Fargo withdrew their sponsorship from the tournament at Quail Hollow, and that's a big sponsor, and that's like almost like the first domino to drop potentially. So I think at some point they need to come together and figure something out to get the best fields, to encourage the best fields. That commercial, they say the best players play here. Well, that's questionable now, you
Well,
know?
listen, these guys, the top guys, have contracts. Okay, Rahm has to play. I'm sure he got all that money and he signed his name. And the stipulation is, you're going to play in all the live events for the year.
Yeah, I think there's 12
for the next 8 years, whatever it is. It's a
Mm-hmm.
multi-year deal. You're
Yeah,
not paying him $5 million to play in 12 events or
right.
14 events, right? So he has to play in those 14 events. So whatever is same week as those 14 events, he's not playing in.
Sure.
PJ Tour could say, "Hey, you're still on the tour. We want you to play in this event." He'll say, "But it's the same week as a live event. I have to play here." So we're going to miss out on Jon Rahm, those 14 tournaments that are the same week anyway, right?
Yeah,
All those guys are obligated to play in those
sure.
tournaments. So you're going to miss out on Rahm, Koepka, Cam Smith, all of them. Those
Yeah,
14 weeks, no matter what is on the other,
yeah.
no,
No, I
can't
get
play.
it.
We can't play in
The
that event.
Saudis, the Saudis are not going to allow.
So no, they're not going to let them say, "Okay, you can skip our stop in London and
Right.
go play a tournament." No, we've paid you
Yeah.
to commit. So listen, you're never going to get like all the best players unless it's kind of a major.
Yeah.
And I do think the guys, listen, these guys don't want to play 30 events a year. They don't have financially now, they don't have to, right? It's not about
No.
the money. They're already gotten paid. So
Mm-hmm.
is there 14 live events, John?
I think so.
Joe?
I think there's 12 or 14, something like that. Call it 12. I think there's 12.
So, I mean, how many more tournaments, Tiger always kind of said he liked to play the majors. I mean, he wanted to keep it under 20 events, I believe.
Yeah.
So maybe you got 12 plus the majors. That would be 16. Maybe they play 4 tour events.
Yeah. You play Bay
Yeah,
Hill. You see,
yeah,
Bryson. You
4
play
events.
the Tournament Players Championship.
So I'm just saying, you're not going to see all the best players playing. They're not. They're not going to
No,
come
I get
together.
it. I
They're
know.
not.
I get it.
So I just feel like I don't think they should have been forced to resign their membership to the tour. I thought that was a bad play by Jay Monahan, and
Yeah.
um,
I would have liked to have seen more of an open door policy, is the
I
bottom
just
line.
feel like if you've earned the tour card, you should enjoy the privileges of tour membership.
I mean, how absurd is last year at the Players Championship? You had Cam Smith, who is defending, who lives on the property, and the tour says you can't play, and he's out fishing on I think they I think they have 36 holes. He's out fishing, on another part of the property. He can't. I mean, it's absurd, right? I mean, it's the height of absurdity, right? He
Well,
should be in the
I
field.
I, I think Jay Monahan is there's been pushback by more than a couple players. They're not
Yeah,
happy with the decision
I know.
made, and we'll see if he has a long career on the PGA Tour. I personally think I don't think he's going to be around a whole lot longer. I think they're going to try to
Mm,
get someone else in there. Just my
yeah,
guess. I don't have any inside information here, but
right.
I I think he's kind of fumbled the ball a little bit on this whole thing,
Hmm.
and from decisions that he's made to um, kind of secrets he's kept from the players, and then he obviously was as transparent as the players wanted him to be. The
Yeah,
players were very surprised by a few things, and they were like, why weren't we told? So
right.
they're not, because more of they don't think he was as transparent as he should have been. But time
Yeah.
will tell. I personally think they're going to get somebody new in there, and I honestly think they should. I don't think the way he's handled it has been the best. So that's my
Mm.
take.
Okay, Alex, moving on. Um, how about we talk directly to the people, the players? Uh, what
People.
what they can do? What can we share to help them with their games directly? And you mentioned, well, we were talking today about we both have been trained in the TPI system, Titles Performance Institute. Um, and you mentioned today that you have a certification in power, which is one of
Yeah.
their certifications.
Yep.
Do you want to take us into that realm and share with us, it's the off season in many parts of the country. Do you want to take us into that space of distance and maybe one or two things that TPI mentioned, um,
Yeah. Sure.
to gain some more power to hit the ball a little longer? What do you think?
So to me, the first component really is not a shocker to anybody who ever watches the Remax Long Drive Championship. If you've ever wanted to say, even the PGA Tour, if you look at the guys that are hitting it the furthest, they usually have a certain physical makeup. But if you want to go a step further and see the guys that hit it, you know, as far as a human can make a ball go,
Hmm.
you watch Remax Long Drive.
Yeah.
And they all have something in common, Joe.
I've got a pen and paper. Let's hear it.
Well, what do you think they have in common? They have tight clothes, right? I mean, these guys have muscles that have
Yeah,
muscles,
they're strong.
growing muscles. It's like the clothes, you just see the shirt stretched, and I mean, they could barely get in these clothes.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
you look,
So just
you look,
sheer strength. Is that
I
is
mean,
that the first
yeah,
step? Pick
absolutely
up some weights.
pick up some weights. If you want to hit it further, you've got to throw some weights around the gym for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
For
Okay.
sure.
That's fair.
I, Flexibility, yeah. I mean, I guess there's a, but I think if you lift weights correctly, you're going to gain flexibility. If you do full range of motion with a chest exercise or a back a lat lat
A
pull
pull.
back,
Yeah.
you're gaining range of motion, and you can do certain exercises aside from that. But um, these guys are all very strong. So yeah, get into the gym. There is no shortcut there. Now,
Okay.
if you wanted to say hit it further without that step, could you hit it further without that step? I'm going to tell you can, and I'm going to tell you how you can. Okay,
Okay.
but but you're still not going to be hitting it as far as you
could.
Point. If I could get you, and I could get you 10, I'm sorry, 15, I would say 15 to 20 yards in one 90-minute session. If I could give you that, okay, most people would be happy. But
yeah,
but are these people
sign me
capable
up.
of, are they capable of 25 to 30 extra yards if
Ooh,
they go the extra step and get to the gym and really work at it?
that's a big,
Absolutely.
wow. That's a big statement. So okay, so
Yes.
number one, get stronger
You got to
is
get
number
strong.
one. Get
Swing.
stronger.
I mean, like, look, like if I gave you an axe and you had to chop down, say a certain diameter tree,
Yeah.
you'd probably get through it before lunchtime. It could take a while, but
Yeah.
you're on time for lunch.
Right.
What if I gave you a year to work out, gave you the same axe, same diameter tree, and I said, all right, let's see what you got. And you've gotten stronger for a year. Well, it's like, wow, you just cut the time it took to chop it down by 80%. Or you're that much faster. You can move
Okay.
the axe that much quicker. You're getting the axe to drive into the wood that much farther. That's not technique. That's just being freaking stronger.
Okay. I mean, I'm not an axe a tree
Doesn't matter.
chopper, but I'm just
If
saying
I get
there if you are, but to go on the other side of the equation, if you are chopping down trees, I am sure that there's some kind of um mechanical advantage to how you do it. So maybe you could have someone who's stronger, but if I sort of know how to um, optimize, maybe I could chop it a little bit faster than someone who's stronger,
all
potentially.
right, let's go with this,
So the
Joe.
mechanics versus, go
You've
ahead.
got the best technique ever.
Yeah.
There's no better technique than you for chopping trees. And
Okay.
I gave you 1 year in the gym, and you came back,
You do it
and your
better.
technique was still flawlessly perfect, Joe.
Okay. I
But
hear you.
now chopped it down in half the time.
Yeah, I'll
What
take that.
what what's going on here? What's the X factor? The
Get
X factor
stronger.
is stronger, Joe.
Okay. So the first step
Okay,
is get
moving
strong.
right
Wait a minute. The first step is
along.
get stronger. The second step is get stronger. Is there a third? I
Well,
mean,
the first step
sometimes I tell people there's three things you need
stronger.
to
Now,
know about. Alex, real quick, there's certain people I say there's three things from today's lesson. Number one is the
okay,
grip. Number one's the grip. Number two is the grip.
the grip.
And number three is the grip. Grip. So, okay, one and two is get stronger. That's point well taken. Three,
Okay.
is there a third?
So as you know, I talked about this earlier. Okay, I did an advertisement where I created this advertisement. I posted the sign. It was kind of yeah, it was a nice big sign. And I said, I will guarantee I can give you 15 extra yards with your driver.
Wow.
And when I was sat down with the client, um, I was never sure if I should guarantee 15 yards more of carry or total distance. But I kind of just said, for the sake of, I said, listen, I don't care. As long as I get you 15 extra yards, it could be carry, it could be total.
Was it a
I said
drought?
to them,
Was it a drought? I'd do it
well,
while we were in it, so the thing could roll the extra fit. But anyway, no, go ahead. I kid.
I basically said to the client, what do you want to see?
Yeah.
Because what I did, Joe, is I guaranteed it. So I charged them. It was 90 minutes. I charged them a fee, and if I could not achieve the extra 15 yards, then it was
Yeah.
totally free. client. So
Wow.
I would ask the client,
It's putting your money
where
where
do
your
they want
mouth
to
is.
where do they want to see the 15 yards? And I let them pick, actually. They could say, listen, total distance. I just want to see it 15 yards further. Or they may even say, listen, hey, I want to see it carry, you know. And I said, fine. So what I did was I got out my flight scope, which people may or may not know. It's similar to TrackMan. It tests
Yeah.
all the data. And I told them nothing, and I had them hit 5 drives. And I took their best drive. It wasn't an average. I was playing no trickery, folks. I took their
You
best
didn't put it
drive.
on altitude, the
I
flight
didn't
scope.
put Dude, I didn't take the averages. I took their
Okay.
best drive.
Okay.
And we're gonna add 15 yards. No, so the first thing it is, I brought them downstairs and we did some exercise. I
Mm-hmm.
actually had to pull some weights. We did some pullbacks.
Okay.
We did. I probably had him do some, like, a little kettlebell kind of squat, not heavy weights, but
Yeah.
I took him through a small circuit and just said, listen, if you do this circuit 3 times a week, you'll see the benefits. But basically, I wanted to wake up and get their muscles. I wanted the blood to
Primed.
flow.
Yeah.
I wanted heart rate up. I wanted
Yeah.
to wake bodies. So I just did just a small little circuit. Then we went into making swings, a very, very dynamic swings with, like, it was just kind of a weighted club. It wasn't really those, there, I think it's called speed stick, Joe.
Yeah. Yeah. The speed sticks. Sure.
So I'd have them grab a speed stick. So there's no club head, as you know. There's no club head. We're not
Right.
worried about. We're just swinging this weighted stick, and
Sure.
I would give them like a step drill.
Okay.
So we're working on a little bit on timing. So we'd step. I'd have them create, speed. We want to hear the whoosh.
Yeah.
We switched to the club. The club is a little bit lighter. We did some swings, no ball, just a tee, just hitting
Yeah.
the tee. And I started to talk about ways to increase speed. And one of the ways was allowing the left heel to rise up off the ground, very much like Jack Nicklaus used to do, John Daly does,
Bubba.
uh, Bubba. So we're going to increase the turn by letting the heel rise.
Mm-hmm.
All segments will turn more, right? The knees, the hips, the chest, everything is
Yeah.
just going maybe, whatever, 5 more
5, 10.
degrees,
Yeah.
right? And you're also, by letting the left heel rise a little bit, you're guaranteeing that the weight is loading on the right foot, or called the
Sure.
trail foot, back
Yeah.
foot.
Yeah.
Sometimes people don't, we can call it a reverse pivot, or maybe they just turn and there's no real load, right? There's
Yeah.
instinctive shift of weight. So by lightening the left, they're kind of guaranteeing more of a load on the right. You with me?
Sure.
So
Oh yeah.
now, couple that with replanting. Again, we did the step drill, so they're used to kind of replanting.
Sure.
And I said, listen, why don't we experiment with just that? Let's see what that gives us. So
Yeah. That's
we,
enough.
we would go back to the launch monitor, and now I have 90 minutes to accomplish the goal, right? So instantly, with just allowing, again, I'm not just telling them to let the left heel come up. I'm guiding them along the way. Okay.
Yeah.
And we're working a little bit on timing, having
Sure.
the speed, in the right area, more of a
Yeah.
later wood, right? And lo and behold, their numbers went up right away.
Wow.
So
That's
sometimes I would get
impressive.
15 yards just with what I've already done. The little circuit with the weights, the work with the speed stick, and some work just swinging a driver with no ball. and then go into the ball. If I didn't quite get it, I would talk a little bit about the left foot and how the left foot should be free to rotate. Left foot should be free to rotate counterclockwise or towards the target. The heel can allow the foot to spin left. You'll see that with Jordan Spieth. You'll see that with Gary Woodland. You'll see it very, very clearly with Bryson DeChambeau. That left foot really starts to rotate, and the foot actually starts to face the target with a lot of these guys. Bryson DeChambeau for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, let's, if we need to let that left foot kind of just rotate, what does that do? It kind of opens the left hip up more through the hitting area.
Yeah.
Kind of fires up the knees and hips through the hitting area. And so we're really clearing and using that lower body, hopefully a little bit more dynamically. We don't want it to, we don't want to swing like we're going to come back to impact, because I should say we don't want to swing like impact is the setup, right? The impact and setup are very different. Some people at impact look like they're at setup, and that's why they don't hit. So we're trying to, and if that didn't work, and again, in most cases, I got my 15 yards between one of those two things, or a combination there. But I would talk about lengthening the backswing even more sometimes to give them more time to create speed.
Sure.
You need more time to generate the speed that I need to get 15 more yards. If you're really short, locked in, and compact, I may try to lengthen you so you can create speed coming down. You need time to do that.
Sure.
Makes sense. We're not like Jon Rahm. Some people need that, it's like, running downhill, like, if you got high hands and a big turn, you've got more time coming through to generate more speed. And that's really what I needed more club speed out of them, right? Sure. I was hoping that they were going to sit in the middle and it was going to generate ball speed. And
you got it.
Of all the people I did it with, and there was a handful of people, they were all there. I'll just tell you the truth. It was all men who signed up. Right. I didn't have any ladies sign up for it.
Okay.
But there's only one guy who did not achieve the goal and got it for free, and he was at 14 and a half yards. He gained 14 and a half. It wasn't 15. I didn't charge him. He got it for free.
Jeez.
But everybody else was, plus, we'll say over 15 up to 20. And this is not in a week or a month. This is not, okay, I'm going to give you a program. You do this for a month. And no, this was in 90 minutes.
Wow, that's impressive.
So it's certainly, if you give them the right information, you guide them along the way, you'd be surprised what they can do.
I think getting the body
wake up.
To wake up. Thank you. Kind of the right terminology. Yeah. Whether it's some neurology involved in that, just getting the body activated,
ready to make that
huge, because we're such a step. It is a very interesting contrast with the golf swing. It's one of the most highly athletic movements in sport, yet we don't prepare athletically for the motion, right? Just because of the nature of the game, it's really nobody's fault. We walk in between shots. We hit what we swing once every 5 minutes when we play golf. So it's an interesting dynamic there.
Well, the weekend golfer, certainly, they have their expectation. It's like, well, I should hit it. You shouldn't do any of those things. You don't put the time and effort into doing them. The guys on TV do. They work. They're doing a lot of work in the gym.
Yeah.
And before every round they've already done a complete gym warm-up workout, whatever it is. I'm sure it's not weights before they're supposed to tee off in the Masters, but they've already done the physical. We're talking about waking up the body. They've already done that.
Yeah.
They've already put the right ingredients in their body to eat and drink. Okay. They're not hungover. They're optimizing everything. Nowadays, it's not a guessing game. It's like, okay, this is what I'm going to drink. This is when I'm going to eat. This is when I'm going to drink. This is when I start my warm up. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
oh yeah, it's fine tuned. Yeah, they're dialed in.
I have
absolutely.
This is a true story. I had this long drive contest with somebody. So when I was living in Shenzhen, China, and we'll get back to Shenzhen, but when I moved to Shenzhen, China in 2012, and I would say towards 12, maybe 2014, early 15, there was this young guy from England, and the academy he was at, they would send out messages, basically, he was new, so they were trying to, promote him. And part of the promotion was he was the longest driver in Shenzhen or something. And I wrote the guy, and I knew him. I go, what's up? I mean, he's the longest, like, I said, I think we should have a little meeting and find out if he's really the longest. So they're like, all right, we'll bring him over to your range. And I said, I have the flight scope set up, and we're gonna go at it mano a mano. And I said, listen, if I beat him, you have to take down those advertisements. he or you got to change it to he's the second longest in Shenzhen. I love it. So we're gonna meet at your range at this time, whatever it was, because they had teaching, and so it was after they worked. But I distinctly remember I went to the gym before I was supposed to meet them at the range. I went to the gym.
Really?
And for me, I really like to open up my chest. And to do, you grab, it's all back exercises. You're pulling your shoulder back. You're opening up your chest. I can get too tight here. So when I warmed up, I wasn't maxing out the weights or anything. I was just really just doing exercises, kind of open my shoulders up, open my chest up.
Interesting.
I my leg. It was 20 minutes, whatever. I just wanted to wake up my body. I said, if I got a long drive contest against a 23-year-old, and I was 40 or 41 at the time. We'll call it 40. I'm 40 and he's 3. This young kid from England. I said, if I'm going to go head to head with this kid, I need to do something. So I went to the gym. Again, I was trying to wake up my body. I was trying to get the heart to beat a little faster, get the blood pumping. I wanted to open up my chest, and I got to tell you, I lost to him.
Did you?
I don't think I'd ever hit the ball further back, man. I was carrying it furthest I've ever had. My numbers were my numbers to this day were as
300 plus. 300 plus.
I carried everyone over 300. Every ball was carried over 300. Now the problem was his club speed. He was at like 127 or 125, which I can't get that speed.
But you're more efficient.
Once I saw his speed, I said, unless he starts hitting it all over the face and I can hit it right in the middle. Now, when I say he beat me, it really wasn't by a lot, because I actually hit it in the center more than he did. A little bit more, not as accurate, but he got me. But the story goes, I did wake up my body. I did go to the gym before.
I love the story.
Because I knew that if I wanted to perform at my best, I couldn't just walk up to the range
Yeah.
and grab the driver and
Right.
expect, to be, beating this kid.
Yeah.
So that's, hopefully, people at home or whoever's listening can kind of, hey, listen, if you're really serious about your best golf, take some time prior to play, and it could even be a very brisk walk and a couple push-ups, maybe some
Yeah.
jumping jacks. All
Right.
that would helpful. You know,
Yeah.
put maybe not, just because that's more of a chest exercise, but um yeah,
Even
I
a
mean,
band, I love the opening of the chest. Even a band,
you can do
just
like,
pull it apart.
some cross work. Yeah,
Yeah.
open up the shoulders, open up the chest.
Yeah.
It's gonna kind of help your thoracic. You're
Yeah.
gonna be turning better. So
Yeah, that's huge. Okay, so
did
speaking of,
I'm sorry, Joe.
I'm sorry?
Did I ramble on too much?
You didn't. No, it was a great story on many levels. I love that I love that you reached out and challenged this young guy to a
Oh yeah.
who you knew, but that's fun stuff.
Why?
And
Him. I knew the guys that hired him. That were, I
okay,
didn't know the first time
okay.
I met into the range and said, "Okay, let's go, me and you."
I love it. I love the competitive spirit. That's phenomenal.
Well,
Um, so what do you think? Should we wrap up? And in wrapping up, you mentioned Shenzhen, China, and
yeah.
is there anything? I mean, it sounds like and looks like you're next door, but you sort of are, but you're not. Where in the world is out? Where in the world is Alex Kohler?
So kind of like the Terminator, he said, "I'll be back," and I wasn't sure I was going to come back, but just through a lot of, I don't know, things that happened in life, and I just kind of asked myself where I wanted to be right now, and I said I wanted to be back in Asia. I wanted to teach students here. I thought about teaching in Thailand, but really couldn't find a location that worked. And so I've returned to Shenzhen, China. So
Amazing.
this is I'm gonna see if it can be as good as before, but I'm gonna try to do things a little different. For those who don't know Shenzhen, it's the southernmost part of China. So if you find Hong Kong on a map, it's just above Hong Kong and Chinese mainland. And
Hmm.
so I've got a lot of people that I know here still. I was here obviously. Let's see, I left here in 2017, but
Okay.
there's still a lot and
Yeah.
so I'm looking for some cooperation. I'm going to try to teach for myself a little bit more than before. Before I worked for an academy. Now I'm going to try to kind of do it more myself and be a little bit more control of myself. And um,
Well, kudos to
I
you, Alex, for
I
following your heart and
tougher way to do it, but
to navigate it must fill you up with a sense of confidence that you can, navigate and succeed in a foreign, a foreign country, and it's really
you know
it's amazing.
people do, even the locals, that I know, they'll say, wow, that they're like very impressed that I can just
Yeah,
go and just get. They're like, how do you do it? Like,
I
isn't
know.
it difficult? To be honest with you, it's actually not that difficult. I think if you just you're thinking more ahead here than you would somewhere else. I'm
Hmm.
thinking a couple steps ahead. It's like, okay, well, when I get into that taxi, okay, I better be ready to show him an address. I can't speak the address,
Right,
so
right.
I better have a screenshot. Maybe I want to, crop it and trim it, blow it up.
Yeah,
Like when I get in that taxi, I'm just going to show him my phone, and he's going to say, "All right,
Yeah.
let's go." I,
That's great.
I don't have one word of conversation with the guy,
Yeah.
but once you have the address, and the address must be in Chinese, or they don't read pinyin, or it has to be Chinese symbols for them to
Right.
read it. So
Have
again,
you have
even
you picked up anything on the language? Are you able to read some
well,
characters, or
I don't know characters. I don't think I'll ever
it
read.
looks
Um,
complicated?
there's just too many. I won't even attempt it. But
Yeah.
uh, I'm hoping that this time around that I can find like a language class to actually go to once a week and practice in between. Practice every
Yeah.
day. Um, there's a language class that I was going to sign up years ago. It includes workbooks. You take it home and you do, self study. You do exercises
Sure.
in this workbook. And I think this time I'm more mentally ready to do that. I want to learn Chinese
Cool.
and put more effort into it. I didn't put much effort before.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy to be back. Yes, it's still always a challenge. There are some frustrations here and there, but for the most part, I've remembered everything I used. It's kind of like riding a bike. They
Riding a
say,
bike. Yeah, you're
get
back.
back at it. Like I haven't had any really struggles. Getting around for me is not an issue. As soon as I got back, I downloaded like 5 or 6 key apps. The metro system map. I have 2 apps for the metro.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Getting around in the metro is easy, but you got to know what stop, what line,
Yeah. Sure.
and then you got to figure out how to buy the ticket. Um, so there are, but again, you download these key apps. Here they don't have Uber, but they have something called Didi. It's the same thing. It's just you but there again, it's like you can't really type in an address in Chinese, right? So
Yeah.
you might have to have someone type it in for you, or you cut and paste it. Like if I find the
Sure.
address, hold your finger down,
Yeah.
paste, like
Right,
it just
right. So you have to get
make it
used to a
work.
couple extra steps, yeah, to make, like you said, make things work.
But the
Well,
weather
you
is
have my
lovely,
admiration.
and I'm very optimistic for 2024, as I know you are, because we're
Yes,
optimistic and we're positive, Joe, and that's why you and I do this show together. We are
that's
like
right.
minded in many ways.
Appreciate that. Alex, it's a
Um,
pleasure being back with you. I hope our listeners got a little something out of what we
yeah,
talked
yeah.
about. I mean, I always do. So it's always fun to catch up. And I can't, the connection really was great tonight. We weren't really fully sure what to expect, but sounds
Was
like you're next door, and it
I
looks like
was
you're next door.
slightly apprehensive that we were gonna
Yeah,
get halfway through and it was gonna cut
I
out,
know. So
but
extra holes is officially back. I
yes,
mean,
yes, I think
it's
we can do this.
yeah. Okay. All right, so we'll leave it at that for now. Thanks everybody for listening, and Alex, thank you, and congratulations on everything you're doing, and continued success. And we'll see you
You too.
all again soon.
Take care.
Thank you.